I know it's awful, but it's just a story, okay? Um, she realizes what she did, and I think she just stops. He then ordered both her mother and her. Yeah, she then turns on the governor and shoots him through the head, through the back of the head, I think. Yeah, and kicks his body into the onrushing horde of the undead, where it's devoured. In the TV show, he gets killed by the woman he befriends after he leaves Woodbury, and decides to rebuild his life. And you see another side of the governor when he's doing this. He seems like a more sane, much nicer person. Still with still that streak of insanity that reminds you of who he was. And this streak eventually widens until he becomes the same, until he's when he actually meets up with one of his cronies, his lieutenant or whatever, corporal. No, he's lieutenant. I wouldn't give him the army designation, but he's number 2, Martinez, the Spanish. I think that's a Spanish dude. He was pretty good in the fight. Apparently Martinez had in the TV series, when he runs into Martinez, Martinez has a group of people. He's been running his own. He had his own private army, or group of soldiers, I guess, his own platoon, who were raiding other survivors and trying to fend off against the wandering walkers, the walkers, and he eventually kills Martinez after he made it clear to him that he was in charge. That's what happens. He clobbers him over the head with a golf stick when he's not looking, while he's actually telling him his grand plan, and he throws him into a shallow grave filled with walkers. It's sort of not a shallow grave, but sort of like a pit thing. I'm not sure how. No, well, he just gets killed in the graphic novel. There's a picture of him being shot there. No, he doesn't come back in the graphic novel. He only comes back in the series, and I think that's because he was kind of popular with some people. Anyway, this lady he befriends and starts sleeping with, who has a daughter, who gets attacked by a walker when she's playing in the muddy riverbank near a river where they're camped, and she gets fatally bitten, and he just shoots her in the head when she carries her corpse over to the governor, in tears, and she just her attitude from that point on, her attitude towards the governor changes. And how much time have I got left? 44 minutes. I might spend this entire video just talking about The Walking Dead and not any Elite Dangerous at all. Yeah, and it's it's not like he actually did the best thing you could do. Yeah, what else can you do if someone's being killed by a walker. There's no cure for it that they could find. Shooting her in the head was the best thing he could do. But this was the worst thing he could do in her eyes. And she... what does... She shoots him in the head or something while he's fighting with Michonne. I think he's about to kill Michonne. He's got his... him and Michonne are fighting again to the death. I'm not sure which one has the katana, but it looks like the governor's about to has the upper hand, and his lover shoots him because it might not be only because he shot her daughter who was going to be a walker anyway, but it might be because she suddenly sees him as he truly is and not as he was pretending to be. He's not, I guess he's not really pretending to be a bad guy, but I guess you could say that he was being a realistic guy given the situation. A realistic guy, probably trying to make amends, trying to do the right thing, despite the type of person he had become when he was running Woodbury. Don't get me wrong, I'm not on his side, but I think he's, yeah. Most of the characters in the story, in the television show, if I saw them before they saw me, I'd be going in the other direction. I'd be avoiding even the good guys. Everyone's pretty crazy in this show, comic show, whatever. I'd be avoiding everyone, which would make life hard on me, but it's very hard to trust people. You need some sort of buddy system, some sort of within each group, just to so no one went crazy or started to covet your perhaps your relationship with a pretty woman or a good-looking man, or your belongings, your supplies, your access to food, your designation. Maybe he wants your job. Well, not job, but he wants to fill your position. They want to fill your position, or they want access to your food. Basically, they want access to your survival, I guess. Anyway, I'll just show you the rest of the graphic novels. What was that? I was going on about the two girls and this was after the Woodbury. This is after the farm, after the prison, after Woodbury, and there were these two young girls in the series, television series, and one of them the older one had gone crazy and started feeding rats to the walkers, and we didn't know about it until afterwards. We found out it was her. Then she kills her younger sister with a knife that Carol had been teaching all the young children. She'd been teaching all the young children how to use weapons. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not, but I guess given the situation that they were in, it might have been. It's just that you can't be too prepared for crazies, insanity, people who just decide, oh, it's okay to kill other people, even in this situation, other survivors. people you're supposed to depend on. And she kills her younger sister. I think she was. This was brought on by the fact that she gave her dolly a very silly name. Anyway, they find they find her out, and it looks like they're deciding what they're going to do with her. And Carol ends up shooting her. Look at the flowers. She takes her to some meadow where there are some flowers, and she goes, look at the flowers. And the girl's pleading for her life because they took her weapons off her, and she's pretty defenseless, but she was kind of insane. And Carol shoots her in the head. She's only a young girl too. Anyway, the closest thing to this situation in the book was there were twin boys that had been with him from the start of the story. Well, with the group that Rick eventually meets, and their parents had been subsequently killed by other walkers as the story progressed. First, it was the mother when they found that housing estate. She was attacked by a zombie when they were clearing out a house for occupation. And the father, who survived her until the prison where he was attacked by zombies when they were clearing out the cell blocks, he was bitten on the foot, like Herschel was in the TV series. And Rick performed an emergency chop on his lower leg, and he didn't survive. He died from that. And when he died, they had to, I think it was by that stage, Rick, at least Rick knew what to do. I'm not too sure. Yeah. See, in the books, there was they did not go to the CDC in, I'm not sure. I think that's in Atlanta. I'm not too sure. Is it? If Atlanta's the place where Rick started, or was that some other? I assume that city, the city where Rick first encounters Glenn, and what is her name? Oh, jeez, my memory is just terrible. Let me see. Andrea, and some others in a shop that they in a department store that they had been holed out in, gathering supplies, ready to take back to camp, and Merle, Rick ends up handcuffing Merle to the roof, where for some reason, I think it's because he was attacking the guy T-Dog, who's not in the T-Dog is not in the books. He's only in the TV series. T-Dog, the big African guy, who eventually, I think he gets bitten in the prison. He actually he gets a really bad cut on his arm that gets infected, and they had to find some antiseptics when they're traveling en route to the prison, I think. He survives that, but he gets bitten on the shoulder when he's closing a gate, while someone mysteriously left the gate open. Some walkers got inside, and he gets bitten on the shoulder. No? Yeah, he gets bitten on the shoulder, and he gets separated from the others with Carol, and they're in some darkened cell block, trying to get away from the other walkers, and he's protecting Carol, and he actually he throws himself at a zombie so she can survive. They eventually find Carol, and they find him, but he's dead by that stage. They finish him off as well before he can rise. Once again, I keep going off on tangents, and I'm not sure where they came from. Yeah, this father, they cut off his foot, and he dies from loss of blood, and they finish him off. That's what happens to Herschel, except Herschel survives. The same thing happens to Herschel, so that's kind of weird how they change those things. Anyway, they're two boys. I think they were en route somewhere. En route, they were traveling from one location to the other, probably from the farm. After the farm, and this is where I actually I skipped a graphic novel and kept reading without missing a beat, and the story still made sense to me, and didn't realize until I was most of the way through it, and I had to go back. Anyway, these two boys, you couldn't tell it by their actions, but one of them kills the other because he went psychotic, and that's basically I think that's the closest thing to the older sister killing the younger sister in the actual TV series. Yeah, it's pretty sickening. Carl actually ends up executing the boy that murdered his brother. He just like this boy just got his knife out and cut his brother to bits like he was an expert slaughterer and an abattoir slaughterer. You know what they are? They're the people that cut up the animals inside abattoirs. I used to work in one I worked in one down south for about 7 months, so I'd sort of know. They didn't actually give me that job or my knives. Oh no, they gave me my knives, but I didn't learn to do that. I was only they only had me on the vacuum, pulling skins, pushing carcasses along the rail, and floorboy. Floorboy was my most common position in that place, and I got sick of it after 7 months. Anyway, this boy just, it's like he was an expert surgeon, cutting and slicing into his brother when he was asleep, I guess, and or he might have been awake. They found his body, and they decided to keep him locked up while they worked out what they were going to do with him. And Carl takes the initiative one night and shoots him with his silenced gun, and that is that. And Carl is slightly older, but I'm not sure if they found out it was Carl that shot the other boy, the murderer, but the young murderer. But they most certainly were not going to have. They eventually came to the conclusion they most certainly were not going to have a young psychopath with them. They were not going to trust him. They couldn't afford to. They couldn't afford. They didn't have the tools to deal with that sort of thing. Even if he was young, very young. I think he was barely about 8 years old, which is kind of weird. Maybe he saw too much death happening around him and it made him nuts. But they just didn't want to deal with that much. They just didn't want that much trouble, and Um, Herschel. Herschel actually had he had two daughters and a brother. There was no Beth. Um, I'll try and there was he had an older boy called Billy. He had Maggie, who appears in the TV series, and there was no Beth, but there was a younger. I think there was a Maggie had a whole older sister who gets bitten while they're escaping from the farm, along with and in the TV series there was another lady who was I think it was Herschel's second wife, who was staying on the farm with them, looking after the children with her first wife, with his first wife. After she dies, she probably dies from some illness or some accident that happened before the Walker epidemic, and she dies. She dies while they're escaping from the farm. I remember that. Some zombie rushes at her and bites her before she can react. While she's I think she turned around or was looking around and she had stopped, or she wasn't able to move as fast as the others or whatever, and she gets fatally bitten. And Herschel's oldest son, as I said earlier, he gets killed trying to pick up. He's also distracting the zombies near the barn that were attacking the barn that Carl and Rick had set on fire, and they were still stuck up on the upper level, I think, and he drove the RV alongside the barn, and they jumped on the roof, and while that happened, he got attacked while he was sitting in the cab. I think he accidentally he wound down the window or opened the door, and the zombies just swarmed over him. And I think the RV catches on fire because Rick and Carl, they just jump off the top of the roof and run for it, run for it back to where they had their vehicles parked, and eventually left. But I'm getting this mixed up. I'm getting the book and the TV series mixed up because I know the older boy, Herschel's eldest in the book, he gets shot. He gets executed by the governor's soldiers when he attacks the prison. And it's after that Herschel begs them to kill him as well, which they follow suit, and he dies there, then and there. No more Herschel. Unlike the one in the series who still survives with his peg leg. He's a useful character. The only one with medical skills, even if they're only even if he's only an animal doctor. And anyway, there is no Beth. Maggie doesn't have a younger sister. She is the younger sister, but there were twin girls. Well, yeah, she did have younger. Maggie did have younger sisters that were twins. They get killed in the prison when they were clearing out the blocks. Apparently, they ran into 4 prisoners in the canteen. Like the bunch, similar to the bunch of prisoners they ran into in the TV series. One of them's a big black guy, sorry, I don't mean to be racist, well, he's of darker persuasion, he's probably a African, Eventually, actually, there's two of them, two dark guys. One of them they had to kill because he was just he just wasn't on their side. And there was this Latino guy with a ponytail who tries to push. He grabs Rick after, well, when they're clearing out a cell block near the power generators. He they're opening the door, and Rick says uh, they were giving the prisoners advice about the zombies. The prisoners didn't know what was going on. They were locked inside the canteen the whole time. Not long before, sometime before the walker epidemic started, so they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know how to kill the walkers. When they first attacked them, they would just they wouldn't aim for the head. They would just stab them in the guts and as much as they can, and as they would, it's like how they would attack each other with weapons and not undead monsters, and they eventually get it, but the big dark guy, he gets in the TV series, he gets stabbed by a zombie who his hands, basically he's in handcuffs, and his hands actually rotted so much that he broke out that he was able to break out the handcuffs, but he had this sharpened forearm. He stabs this back the big dark guy, and well, they had to get rid of him, and it was the Latino guy who Rick and Daryl are not too sure about, 'cause after he savagely bludgeons the black guy, because he's now going to he's sick with the he's going to become, well, he's going to rise as a walker if they don't get rid of him, even though he was pretty after he'd been bitten, he tried to hide it, I think. Well, after he was attacked in such a way that the virus was passed to him, he tried to hide it and plead with the others that I think I'll be okay. But the Latino guy, he bludgeons him with a golf club, I think, and that's that. It was after that part, Rick and Daryl decided to watch him closely, keep an eye on him, the Latino guy, to see if he doesn't go nuts or crazy and attack them, which at some later stage, they're clearing out the generator room or something like that, and they're about to open the door. They open the door, and the Latino guy grabs Rick and shoves him into his, the first wave of zombies, and Rick is able to survive that mishap with a little bit of help from Daryl, I think. And it was after they clear away all the that wave of zombies, he turns to the Latino guy and confronts him about what he just did, and he apologizes, says, "Oh, I couldn't help myself," and something along those lines. And Rick looks like he's gonna let him go, but he's actually he's very fast with the machete, and he just puts it through his skull because he can't trust this guy. So that's the end of that. The Latino guy, I don't know his name, but there is another guy called Axel, who's he's kind of he made friends with there must have been three dark guys, and three dark guys. One that had to kill, and one that got attacked by the sharpened forearm on the back, and they had to get rid of him. And there was another black dude. I just lost so much track of it. He was friends with Axel, who was this